Someone say yeah, and you're gonna say yes.
And I had to work harder if I wanted to retire blissfully. A woman, she makes you taller. She's something like a spine. A girlfriend is nothing more than a sling or a back brace, nothing a lot more than a care package after earthquake. See, in our days, most of us are too willing to sign packages a little.
MC Benny.
Come on, East Africa. It's a party.
Tell them. Afrika Mashariki. Twaja pamoja.
From country to country, yeah. We gotta work together. We are leaders now. Aiming high for the better. Together. To make our nations greater. We're sharing to the power. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Together we'll shape with responsibility as young people. With ability, here we are to take the opportunity to raise the flag of East Africa. Together with love, together with peace, together respond to our need. Together transform our community as we see light and a bright future. Let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and women.
Afrika Mashariki yote twaungana, vijana vijana kutoka Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Burundi hadi South Sudan na Rwanda. Twaja pamoja ili fanye nini?
You lead,
vijana wote.
I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to another wonderful episode of YouLead Unplugged. It's another Thursday evening, 7 p.m. East African time. Beatrice, you excited about today?
Good evening. Sorry. The joke we had last time when we did this Unplugged series is that young people are always on the move. So excuse the background, the disruptions. Good evening, everyone, and I'm happy to see you tuning in from wherever you're situated across the continent. I'm your host, Beatrice, and I'm joined with Franklin.
Yep. So today we are going to have a wonderful session. There will be a trivia session, and we can see people joining in gradually from wherever they are across Africa. Yeah. So feel free to drop your name on the chat and where you are tuning in from, whether it be Nigeria, whether it be Ghana, whether it be the south of Africa, South Africa, Namibia.
I was about to say you missed South of Africa. You're not being inclusive.
Yeah, how can I miss the south of Africa, where all the music comes from, you know?
Hey.
Yeah. So feel free to drop your name on the chat and where you're coming from. And we're going to hear in a few minutes who's going to join us for another wonderful session. Beatrice, you want to enlighten us on who's going to join us soon?
We are going to be joined by a young entrepreneur from Kenya, and her name is Edith Nganje. And I hope I pronounced her name correctly so she does not tell me off. So she is a social and serial entrepreneur and a business coach, and also a chief CEO for Ariel for Africa.
Yeah.
Speak of innovation. This is the person you need to meet, and I hope you're able to tune in through the entire session so you can meet and interact with her and ask her all the questions you have. Um, Around entrepreneurship and innovation, and how do you kickstart your business from ground zero. But
Yep.
our conversation as well will touch on the African Free Trade Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we're looking to see how young people are able to use that tool to do business and trade across the whole of Africa. And she is one to ask these questions about. So she'll be joining us later on. However, we're setting pace to this evening by starting with trivia. Let's see how well you know your continent.
Yep. So it's gonna be a wonderful session. I see Beatrice, someone is already picking on you. Someone is saying, Beatrice,
Switch on the light.
Yeah.
I
Alas,
will do it in a bit. They're fixing a few things. Young
don't worry,
people issues and challenges.
yeah.
I will even
Alas,
get a
thank you
lamp
for
if
that.
I need to get a lamp.
Yeah, Elias, thank you for that. So feel free to drop on the chat. Tell us where you're joining in from. Like Elias, it could be you're on your way to the airport or on your way home. Wherever you are, let us know. Feel free to type on the chat, on the Facebook chat, and we want to
Even
hear from you.
better. Even better, Franklin. Ask them to take a selfie and post on Facebook that they're tuning in to Unplugged Series with YouLead Africa on the move.
Yeah. That's much better. Yeah, I selfie. Why didn't I think of that? Much better. Yeah. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you wherever you are. So we are just trying to get as much as people on board before we go. But since we already have some people here, allow us to go to the first question. So the rules are very simple. We will project the question. The questions are all about Africa, Mama Africa. So they range from geographical questions, they range to political questions, but they're all about Africa. Some of them even about movies. So if you know the answer, you're welcome to type it quickly on the chat. Just tell us the answer and then we'll give you a shout out from wherever you are. It's also part of getting to know more about our continent. So without wasting any time, we're going to the first question, and we're gonna project it on the screen, and there we go. You're even free to Google, as long as it will help you. But the time aspect, okay. So drum rolls, and there we go. The first question: What is the name of the bridge over the Zambezi River between the countries of Zambia and Botswana?
Oh,
What
that's
is
a
the
good
name
one.
of the bridge? Yeah, over the Zambezi River between the countries of Zambia and Botswana.
Let's see how well people did in geography in high school.
Yeah.
Were you
What is the
listening?
name? Yep. What is the name of the bridge over the Zambezi River between the countries of Zambia and Botswana? Stanley is saying, following from Narok County, Kenya. Thank you, Stanley. Stanley, if you could tell us the answer to the question that you're seeing, what is the name of the bridge over the Zambezi River between the countries of Zambia and Botswana? So, whoever's listening, and as we warm up to listen to Edith Njage sharing with us nuggets of gold. So we're having a trivia session. Ooh, Elias is saying Victoria Falls. Okay. The question refers to the bridge. What is the name of the bridge over the Zambezi River between the countries of Zambia and Botswana?
Even I'm not sure of this answer as well. So don't feel bad if you don't know the answer. And I'm trying my best not to Google. I'm trying to reflect back to the time we did geography in high school.
So it seems we are having an issue with geography. A number of people may not know this answer. So
Come
time
on,
is up. Time is up.
That's the
Elias,
point.
Stanley, The rest of the team, you wanna try? What is the name of the bridge? The bridge. Hint, it's a new bridge.
Or you can enlighten us with the answer now. I think you've kept us in enough suspense.
Okay, now the answer is, you can see it there.
Kazungula Bridge.
Yeah,
Really?
the answer is
Franklin, really?
Kazungula Bridge. Yeah.
How
The
is one
answer-
to guess that?
Yeah. So before we go to the second question, allow us to bring in someone special, just for the people to know that we already have our guests. Edith.
Hi. I apologize for my tardiness.
Karibu, Karibu.
Thank
And for
you.
all of
guys.
those tuning in from elsewhere, Karibu means welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. So much.
We are honored. We are honored to have you, Edith. And so that you know, you can always type on the chat, because I'm the only one, I think, and who knows the answers. So if you know the answers to the questions, so we're going to question 2. So whoever's listening to us, our guest has joined us. Edith Njage has joined us. We're going to have a wonderful few minutes to share wisdom, nuggets of gold from Edith. And so the second question, before we proceed to the interview proper, second question, and these are political questions, just to give a hint. So people like Elias, Stanley, I'm sure most of us here are political junkies. There we go. The second question. You want to read it?
What is the name of the running mate of Zambia's incumbent president? That's a good one. If you didn't hear me let me repeat it again. What is the name of the running mate of Zambia's incumbent president? Let's see the chats. The chat. What do we have as answers coming in? Guys, Uncle Google is also your friend.
Uh-huh.
He's an uncle for a reason.
Hint, it's a lady.
Thought I'm animal health trainee. I guess it was because okay. Stanley's saying he guessed it.
So Stanley just got the answer to the previous question. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So probably you could get this other one. The name of the running mate of Zambia's incumbent president. And a hint, it's a lady.
Hey.
Yeah, so the running mate is a lady. Okay, we are getting, we're waiting for answers, and we're only waiting for another 10 seconds or so. So if you know the answer to probably we chose a little, the questions were a little hard, which is probably the next ones we can try.
This one I'm blaming on you for you political junkies. I'm with Edith here. Entrepreneurship and innovation all the way.
Well, Edith. You want to join that train?
Edith, do you know the answer? No,
Friends know me, I'm entrepreneur.
See? That's
okay.
But I think we should know. I think that's really cool that it's a woman, though. Yeah.
So enlighten us, Franklin. Who is it?
So the name of the running mate, who happens to be a lady and a professor, by the way, she's a professor. Her name is, drum rolls. Where's her name? I almost said Edith.
Amen to that, though, right?
That's her name.
For real.
Wait.
That's her name there.
You're serious?
No. Her name is there. It's not Edith. You can see it there. Nkandu Luo.
Okay.
She's actually a professor. Yep, she's a professor, and that is her name. So, final question, and then we have a few questions. Now we go to the final question. This one should be easy. Beatrice, you wanna help us?
Through which African country does the Nile flow most? Now this one. Geography peeps, where are you at? Geography peeps, come through.
This one should be easy. When
Hey,
you go, it should be easy. It's easy. The-
Elias is saying she's Luo from Kisumu to the previous
Ah,
question.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas Luo is a
I
dominant.
know. Yeah. Mkandu Luo. Yeah, she's a professor. The name just happens to rhyme with the Luo tribe from
Yeah.
Kenya. She's Zambian. She's
Ah,
Zambian.
okay. Okay. So back to the
Yeah.
question. Through which African country does the Nile flow most?
Mm-hmm.
Elias, you wanna take a shot at this? Or Stanley?
Mm-hmm. 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 Now, I'm getting to have a feeling that some of us used our geography, passed the exam, and then left it behind.
Let it go.
That must have been the trick.
I must admit, I think I'm one of them. I'm just gonna.
But okay, surely, ladies and gentlemen, we do not know which country has the greatest flow of the
Can
Nile
I take a
through it.
guess?
Yes, take a guess. Save
No, I
us.
think Egypt, but I
Edith
don't
said,
know.
You're close, actually. It is Sudan.
Sudan. Country is Sudan. Sudan is the country.
It's
Yeah.
there in the north, but somewhere.
Sudan is the country.
It's
Well,
okay. We won't hold it against you. Once we know who you are in your profile, we'll be like, it makes sense now.
yeah,
This one is
uh,
money and business oriented.
yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to know Edith. So, let me hand it over to Beatrice to start us off. Just do a rain check on how Edith has been today. You know, we may never know where she was from. Probably she had like 10 appointments, you know, a CEO's typical life. So, over to you, Beatrice.
And before she jumped on the call, she just told me she was from a meeting. So give us a check from 1 to 10. How exhausted are you? Because this meetings, hopping from meetings to meetings, is becoming quite something for us young
It's
people now.
intense. It's actually very intense. I was in a 1 hour meeting before here, which I left 8 minutes late. I'm normally very time conscious, but it's okay. I basically was meeting one of my mentees. So I've been coaching entrepreneurs all over the world that are trying to build $1 million businesses. So the one that I was working with before this, she is building a brand in the US. So was working a bit with her, and yeah, but I think it's honestly exciting because I love working with entrepreneurs, with founders, with visionaries. It's tiring, yes, but it's also super exciting.
So every time I interact with you or I hear something about you, it's always topping the information I already know about you. First it was you're doing work across East Africa, then the continent, and now you're telling me the globe. You're working
Yeah.
with entrepreneurs in the States and whatnot. I mean, that's impressive, guys. And we're just getting to start the conversation, eh? Imagine. So Edith, this is just going to be a get to know you chat. We want to understand who you are. How did you build your story, your career? How did you trek through the challenges, the issues you faced, and moments of success? How did you feel, and who did you celebrate with? So the basics, you know.
Yeah.
We've interacted with you at a formal space, and I mentioned we're not trying to have that anymore. We need to be unwinding and getting to know our leaders on a bit more personal level, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with your story. Where did you start, and how did you get to where you got to right now?
Mhm.
And I know that's a very long one, and as you said, you're trying to be time conscious, so let's also
Mm.
And we start at like a certain age.
Yeah.
let's start at age. When did you start, age-wise, and with what?
Yeah, so I have I found my love for entrepreneurship when I was 18. That's when I started working with young people, and that's when I started building my first brand, which is Job Creation Limited. And at the time, I was very green, didn't really understand what goes into business, but it did well. So it did well, right? But there were things that I wish I knew then that I now know that would have made world of a difference. So it is a very solid company. What I would value as maybe back end, maybe a $10 million valued company, just in terms of impact and other elements. But it would be tenfold over if I had the tools then that I have now. So at that time, I was 18, had just left high school. I went to high school, St. George's Girls. St. G, just around the corner. Not really, depends on where you are. But yeah, I went to St. George's Girls. And then immediately after that, got into business, which was very exciting. And when I was entering business, I was also taking 2 undergraduate degrees. So I believe great things come in doubles. So I was doing 2 undergraduate degrees. One was in business management, with a focus on economics. And then the second one was in business administration with focus in finance. So,
sorry to cut you short. By 2 degrees, you mean simultaneously at the same time?
Yeah. Like I was in 2 universities in one day and still working a business.
Edith, when I grow up, I want to be like you.
It was a lot of fuel. Now I think about it, it was a lot of fuel. I would do a lot of back and forth, and they were at 2 ends of the country from each other. But it was honestly such a great experience, and I had such a good time with that. And I think also it really taught me how to balance different things. So I was able to handle that and graduated from both of them. Instead of in 4 years, I finished in 3 years. So graduated early. And when I graduated early, it was so that I could go pursue my master's. So I took, I think, 6 months or so, focused a bit more on work and just getting set up. And then I went to HALT International Business School. And I did my master's there. Again, good things come in double. So I did 2 masters there as well. So I did one in London, which was international business. And then I focused on disruptive innovation when I was in New York and Boston. And then I moved into finance, which I Master's of Science in Finance, which I studied in Boston, Massachusetts. Ooh. So again, and all while I was doing this, right, when I got to HALT is when I built Ariel for Africa. So that's where I met my co-founders, absolutely amazing women, a South African and an Eritrean, beautiful, beautiful women. And that's when we built Ariel. And it all came from the need to create jobs in the African market. And for us, we know that this can only happen through entrepreneurship. It cannot happen in any other way. But at the same time, what Africa understands as entrepreneurship is actually business owners. I keep saying people keep confusing entrepreneurs and business owners. Entrepreneurs, you don't even need to give them anything. Like, you don't have to give an entrepreneur anything. They will take zero. They will take people. They will take any sort of resource and build $1 million company. And you will, when you do give them money, they will multiply that 10 or 20 folds over. A business owner will add interest to any money you give them. So they're able to sell at more than what they bought at. So there's a very big distinction between business owners and entrepreneurs. So as Ariel, we started because we're very passionate about converting business owners to entrepreneurs to actually maximize their potential. But over time, we've grown, we've gotten into corporate leadership, we've gotten into financial literacy and helping people manage their money. We've gotten into sustainability, right? Which is like Greek these days. I say sustainability, people are like, what is that? What is that? So we've gotten a lot into sustainability and helping young people understand that the best way to do well in any situation or in any market is to make an impact. When you make an impact, you will see an impact in return, right? And I was having this conversation with a very good friend today, and I asked her, in Africa, if you're to line up all the business owners and all the entrepreneurs, we are more than in the US or in Europe or anywhere. We're the most entrepreneurial people. However, we have the most poverty, the most waste, the most unemployment. Why? Because how we define entrepreneurship is actually business owners who are self-seeking and self-motivated. And if business does not go beyond you, then you cannot solve the problems in the society. I don't believe in government solving problems, right? They're just like an agency to manage. I mean, that's how I see them. I don't think they're problem solvers, right? If they are problem solvers, we wouldn't be where we are today. Business owners are problem solvers, but they need to realize that in order to really solve long-term problems, business needs to go beyond them. So they need to be implementing change in their communities. What is the social impact? How many jobs have you created? How many households are you empowering? Is there a school that you're giving to or supporting? Are there young people that are feeding from your business? Environmentally, how are you reducing waste through your operations? How are you lowering pollution? How are you actually increasing efficiency and reducing how much waste we have? Because we have the most waste on this continent. And you can't tell me it's colonization, because I don't think you can't blame that on colonization. That's
the classic escape we always jump on.
Other things, fine. Colonization, money, it's fine. Resources being taken, it's fine. I understand. Waste, me, I don't think, anyway, but that's a different one. So I think we really have a big hat for entrepreneurship and for helping people understand that this really is the solution to the African problem. To every single issue that we face, I look at entrepreneurs as the solution. And if we continue to face these challenges, it's because they are responsible and they're not doing their part. It's that simple. And rather than blaming government, every time if you identify any problem in the society, it is your responsibility to fix it. The fact that you have seen it means you have to fix it. If you have identified it, it is for you to resolve it. And you might have to rally people to do it together, but you have to be a part of that process. Don't see a problem and then sit back and say, Serekali's idea. For what? You guys do know the government we have. We'll be out here, guys, in the ghetto forever if we keep thinking like that. So I'm very big on helping people understand that, guess what, guys? We can be problem solvers, we can be innovators, and we can create impact while we do it. And we can make it sustainable and long-term.
Yeah, thank you. Allow me to jump in right here. I feel now, I'm not sure where the spark, the passion for entrepreneurship, and even just the passion, your passion, came through or came alive. Because I've heard you've mentioned London, you've mentioned Kenya, where you're born, you've mentioned Boston. So my question is, it seems there's something about traveling and getting to see different situations, different places.
I think the first thing she needs to answer for us is to let us know where you're tuning in from, because now I'm confused.
No,
lots of different parts.
Yeah.
You're in Kenya, okay, good.
Oh.
Because of the way you're well traveled from that brief,
Yeah.
And I just want to comment and say, I read a brief of what you do, and your slogan for Ariel Africa is "Let us help you roar." I think you just roared to me right now. Like, that was just woo. Guys, just 1 second. Let's give a shout out to some of the people in the comments right now. They're tuning in from. We have Lena from Namibia saying hello. We have James Kidiga from Tanzania saying hello. Hi guys, and karibu. We are getting to meet and getting to know Edith. I hope I say this last name correct. Ngante, because I'm bad with African.
Jaggy.
This is why I hid my face, because I knew it was coming. And she's enlightening us on her journey. So I don't know if you want to respond to Franklin's questions and if he wants to repeat them as we prepare for the next ones. Or are we heading for a break for trivia? Franklin, let us know.
Yeah, I wanted to just get to ask two questions in one. The first question is, where did she feel in her journey, whether it was in Kenya, New York, Boston, wherever? that the spark for Ariel came alive. And then secondly, I have a feeling, in it, with your passion and charisma and eloquence, who is the most important person or the most eminent person you've ever talked with or addressed? So those are the two questions. I have a feeling we may be talking to someone who has spoken in front of many eloquent people, important people. Shoot.
Don't think too hard. There must be one person.
That is such a hard question. I'm really trying to think of the last one, the most prominent. That's a hard question to think about. Okay, I'll say this. I currently run in circles with directors in Microsoft and Google.
Ooh.
Yeah, so those somehow, honestly, in like I keep saying, when you're out to make an impact, when you're out to make change, when your core and your goal is to really see business go beyond yourself, then you find yourself on platforms, and so. Yeah, I tend to hang out with VPs at Microsoft and things like that. And we're just really good friends, or CEOs of major organizations all over the world. So I can't, I'm really trying to pick one person. I cannot do it because everyone that I have met, honestly, on especially people that have really supported the work that we do in the continent, I would say they are all superstars in my eyes, at least. So yeah, sometimes you meet with investors who have portfolios of $500 million, and they're talking to you about collaboration. So to help out entrepreneurs that we work with. So it's honestly, I cannot narrow down on anyone. I would say that the spark for Ariel for Africa happened November 2018. And my co-founder Feroz, she's an absolute star as well. I would say she's the most prominent. I'm just saying that just that she buys me lunch later. Anyway, so she's if she watches this, but she's really good people. And I think when we sat down and we met, because she's Habesha, she's from Eritrea, so the sorts of issues that Kenyans face is not the same as what people in Eritrea or Ethiopia will face. There are different degrees to what it means to be African, and there are different levels of struggle for each African country. And so when we met, because I've worked quite a bit with Ethiopians, I know how hard it is for them. I know how difficult it is. Kenya does very well, by the way. Being in Kenya is really good. The government will not throw bombs on you. They won't delete your internet for like a month. You can't talk to anybody. They don't do nonsense like that.
Are you throwing shade to other countries?
Yeah, but you see now, not really throwing shade, I'm just being frank that their struggles are legit. Looking at other countries like Somalia, their struggles are legit. There are actually countries that are really, really going through it. So I think for us, when we met and spoke a lot about those sorts of countries, beyond just what's happening in Kenya, of course, it sort of helped us realize that entrepreneurship is the solution. And as well, I'm a Christian, right? Love God. I don't think I would have this heart if I didn't. And Jesus was the greatest entrepreneur of all time, right? And I look at it this way. He called his disciples out of business, out of corporate, or whatever would be corporate at that time, from fishermen, from tax collectors. He left carpentry. They never died of hunger. So, you put two and two together, they were entrepreneurs, And so for me, just identifying that helped me have so much respect for entrepreneurship and for the principles of entrepreneurship that are clearly shown as well in the Word of God. I think for me, anything that is in the Word of God makes so legit in life as well. So I saw entrepreneurship as a solution. And like I said, I identified a problem and I developed a solution. Ariel is the solution for the unemployment problem in this African continent.
So you've raised a few challenges there, and I want to ask, And I know this is something that many of us have had to face and recover from. So last year we were hit with the COVID-19 pandemic. And I'm sure you have stories to tell for us. How was Ariel for Africa impacted, and how did you recover from that? And maybe we can borrow a few words of wisdom in that sense. So we also inspire other young people who have gone through this and are still in the process of recovering. How do they pick skills and tools from you and ideas on how to bounce back?
Yeah. Funny enough, leading up to the pandemic, because like I said, we set this up in 2018 December, and because Ariel is it's very intense in terms of curriculum, diagnostic assessments, all these things that go into the back end, certifications which are global, mentors, up to 50 of them. All of this took us time to build. So from basically 2019, from January until July, August, was us preparing for our pilot, which was to prove that the solution we had developed would actually make an entrepreneur's journey that much easier, and to put percentages onto the impact we were saying we would have in terms of their funding, their legal support, all these different elements in an entrepreneur's journey. When we tested it in September, our next step was to fundraise. Because of course, now we want to set up in Kenya. At least that was the first original location. We were like, let's set up in Kenya, and we're going to set up in what month did we say? We said we would set up in April 2020. So we started working towards that. But then when we got to when we started the fundraising journey, that was an entirely different experience. But I'm so grateful for it, because I don't think you can understand what it means to fundraise as a Black young woman until you fundraise as a young Black woman.
Yeah.
And we were fundraising in Europe, in the US, and in Africa as well. And we faced a lot of discrimination, a lot of racism, a lot of gender bias as well. So a lot of the statistics, you know how they say a Black Kenyan, like a Kenyan, if you have a Kenyan ID, okay, a white person, an expat, is 47,000% more likely to be funded here than you are. 47,000% more likely. Crazy percentages. And then you come and you hear that only 2% of the world's total funding goes to Black women. Then all those statistics, they come to life, and you begin to understand where they came from. So it was a super struggle from September all the way to around January. But then when we finally did secure the final investors and COVID hit, we did not close that funding round, because one of the investors was hit by the COVID stock market issue. So now we had to go back to the drawing board of, okay, we were going to fundraise. And at the time, we were going to do, let me just be honest, a round of $350,000. That's what, 35 million trillion.
Wow.
And we were getting rid of a good chunk. Like I say, a proper chunk was going to be eaten of, a proper chunk was going to be eaten of the company. But we didn't do it because of that issue. So we went back to the drawing board, and I hate what COVID has done to countries and to people and to lives, but it has been good to us in the sense of, had that not happened, we would have lost a big chunk of the company at the wrong amount. So because of that, we went back to the drawing board and we launched virtually. And we started working with entrepreneurs. And instead of just being in Kenya, we were in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa in 8 months. Wow. Instead of just working with, because we were projected to work with 100 entrepreneurs in 2020, we worked with over 500. in 2020. Instead of just, having X number of staff, we doubled that. Instead of, and all of this happened, guys, with not a single coin being put into the business. Nobody put anything. It was just what it was, right? So that's why, again, I get very saddened when I hear entrepreneurs say, oh, I'm not doing it because there's no money. I need investment. I need capital. You don't always need money. Sometimes you just need a model that is able to sustain and generate the organization. That's it. So we started out just wanting to work with entrepreneurs. We included corporate leadership, we included financial literacy programs with the NSC. We leveraged on a bunch of partnerships and now getting, like I said, into sustainability. We're launching a tech program. We're doing a lot right now. And if you look at the current valuation of the company, right now, even investors who are telling me $3 million, I'm not looking at them twice.
Wow.
That's small money. Can you see what 1 year can do if you're just right? If you just acknowledge that there is a time and a season for everything. So I think for me, the pandemic has been, in that sense, has been good.
You probably allow me to just have a follow-up question. The statistics that you've mentioned are pretty alarming and astounding, to say the least. And you're right in terms of the figures, the amount of funding coming to not just even Black women, but even African businesses is very small. You mentioned 47,000 times more likely to fund a Caucasian or an American startup compared to an African one. Yeah. So my question is, when you are doing funding or these funding rounds, or when you're looking for startup capital, leave alone the typical banks, it seems your kind of funding fishing was, in those corporate boardrooms up north in America. What are what probably one or two discriminatory statements that we should expect, or our viewers should expect when that time comes, and they should be prepared for probably to deal with them, and how did you deal with them? Probably one, if you can, one which was a thread, a common theme running through that you felt you and your colleagues, your co-founders in Eritrea and South Africa were facing as they were going through that.
I like that. I think that's a really good question. I will say what the Kenyan venture capital firm said, because it shocked me out of my skin. When we went to the Kenyan, it's based in Kenya, okay? It is Kenyan. It is to fund Kenyan enterprises, okay? And in particular, social enterprises. And they asked, this looks good. Everything looks like it's in order. The numbers are good. Everything is correct. This is a good model. And there's impact. And the numbers in terms of your impact, everything is in line. And then they asked, is there a white person on your board? And I was just like, thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. This has been great. And we left.
Okay. So what was you did ask why that question?
No, you understand the underlying tones. There's an element of lack of trust of Africans, and especially when you're an African woman under 30. You're not helping yourself because you're already under 30, then you're female. You're really not helping yourself. At least that's what I normally say. I'm not helping myself. It's just to get older, maybe that, I don't know. But there's that is there, but because they said but, the only thing is there a white person on your board.
Wow.
And I just said, thank you so much.
That's an eye-opener.
But that was here. There, I would say most of the statements have been, Africa is too risky. We don't invest in Africa. Africans can't be trusted. What's the third one? Have you considered onboarding a Caucasian co-founder? And we went to a school with a lot of Caucasians. I mean, black people were 2% of the population. Funny that all of us that founded the company were all black people. We just gravitated towards each other. But those were the sorts of statements.
Wow.
Not
Thank you.
The bias is real, guys. The bias is real. And I would say the only way to, because you see, we can't change the world. We can, however, begin new habits as young people. So as young people, especially those who choose to go the corporate route, or even if you go the entrepreneur route, but you start to do well, start to put aside money, not per se into insurance or what schemes or, pension. Okay, pension is good. Have a pension. What's this other one called? The one where people put in these fixed deposits.
I like how that came as a by the way in the conversation.
It's important, and have health insurance. But like aside from all of those things, can we please get away from buying land and think, may I have a house? Okay, I bought a house. I don't deny that. But I believe in young people coming together to change the investing trend. Because it is only in Africa where all the wealthy people have invested into acres and acres and buildings and houses and How many of them have invested into a business? How many of them can point to how many startups they have funded? We need to stop assuming the right person is going to bail us out. We have our own money. Can we start to use our own money? Because if you ask these business owners, a lot of times, guys just need 50, 60K, 100K, to get started. Then they'll generate the rest. But how can we get away from traditional investing models and start to actually support our SMEs and our startups? And actually, instead of going to buy shares of Safaricom and etc., they're good, but can you please have shares in a startup? Before you complain about startups failing or businesses failing, how many have you invested in? So that they fail, please, like me, I've invested in business. So I can say, if they fail, like me, I did my part. So I think that needs to happen. No more white money. No more.
It's clean our hands of that. So those are very, very heavy words for us to hear, but they're also good words we need to hear, especially for young people who are constantly seeking for donor funding and whatnot. It's time that we start investing in ourselves with our resources and what we have within the continent. That really resonated a lot with me, and I don't know if it's the same with anyone in the comments. Please do share your thoughts on the conversation as we're moving along. I do want to take a break because we did say we're going to have quizzes in the middle of this, and to take us into that space right now of trivia, part of our conversation was going to be around the African Continental Free Trade Area and its launch. So I have a small, brief quiz question, if I can say it in that sense. Who knows how many countries have ratified this continental agreement? Just drop it in the chat. If you're aware of it, if you don't know, Uncle Google. So I will start with that question, and if you haven't heard it, I will ask Franklin to share it in the chat, in the comments, and then we can go on to the next trivia questions guided by Franklin and see how I think we're running out of time as well. And Edith, oh my gosh, I wish we could keep you on the call for 2 hours, but time is money, they say. We'll do the trivia questions, and then we'll hear a few last parting words from you, if that's okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Beatrice and Edith, for that powerful session. So if you can hear our voice, we are going to just have one question, and the question is on your screen right now.
Which is the capital of the country that used to be called Abyssinia? Again, me and geography. Say it. Were you whispering to us or say it loud? Say it loud.
No, they can write it down. I want them to win.
I think it's too late. Also, we have someone tuning in from SA, Honeydew SA. Greetings, Core Peter Thorn. I can't pronounce your last name. I want to try it, but I don't want to fail miserably, so I won't.
Yeah.
Nice to have you on the call, on the conversation. Karibu.
Yeah. So we're waiting. If you can hear us, which is the capital of the country that used to be called Abyssinia, the capital. Emphasis on the word capital. So yeah.
Addis Ababa.
Oh, yeah, the answer went. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, to cut to the chase. And then the final question for this round is this one.
Let's see it. Which is the largest city in Africa?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Cairo. But I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Why are you saying the answers? You're not giving people the chance.
Am I right?
Edith got it. Yeah, it's Cairo.
You see, I've redeemed my geography self. I've redeemed entrepreneurs.
Cairo. Yeah. Cairo.
I think
Well,
we can do
cool.
one
Peter
more.
Thorn Adwot says, nice to meet you guys. Yeah, he's enjoying. Greetings from Honeydew, South Africa. Yep. Thank you for that. So, Beatrice, over to you. I see we have less than 10 minutes left.
Yes. So, I just wanted to quickly dive into that conversation of the the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement and link it to Aerial Africa. So, how has your business thrived with such an instrument being in place? Have you utilized it? Have you used it to cross borders across the continent? And if so, how? Because we are currently, as YouLead, working around finding ways in which young people can be part of the implementation process.
Yeah.
And if you've succeeded with this, then how can you encourage young people across the continent to use the instruments that are put in place to facilitate their cross-border business?
Yeah. I really like this. And I also liked that we had that conversation last time on the free trade agreement.
Yeah.
In terms of for us, we have really been intentional with, because essentially we are service-based, we have been very intentional with strategic alliances and almost like setting up mini franchises within these different African markets. So throughout the last couple of months, like I'm saying, we're in 5 African countries and we're penetrating an additional 3 in Q3 as well. So, 3 in Q3, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so we are doing this. We're doing this as a result of the systems and the policies that are in line with the free trade agreement, and just how free Africa can be, you know. And I love the free trade agreement because I think we're basically looking in the future having an African passport, you know. Imagine you can go anywhere within the continent. I think that would be crazy, that we don't have all these boundaries and all of these restraints. So we have been, again, like I've said, very intentional with strategic alliances, which is a smart way to take advantage of the free trade agreement and then, again, not hike up your costs. But check with your legal team. And again, like I keep saying, for entrepreneurs who cannot per se have a legal or advisory team, there are players in the market like us or like yourselves that can actually help them figure out how to do this in a legal way, you know, where they're actually within the policy and they're not being taken advantage of, for example, at the borders and things like that. But then also they're not doing illegal business in these different markets. So yeah, I would say strategic alliances have been massive for us. We're also currently hosting the Startup World Cup for Africa region, which we were approached to host as a result of our utilization of the free trade agreement, right? So that is featuring 10 founders in 5 African countries. It's on the 19th of June. So we're very excited about that as well. Very, very crazy high quality startups. I haven't seen that caliber in a very long time. And I would encourage everybody to attend that. But also, I think that also was a big thing for us, that we are being approached to represent the entire continent. So now it moves business away from country level for any entrepreneur who knows how to do this correct to continental level. But again, coming with that, you have to give quality. If you're doing business on a continental level, then competition is on a continental level. So it means it's no longer one-upping, it's 10-0. You must figure out how to hit your competitors 10-0. So entrepreneurs have to be very, very smart when it comes to scaling, because now when especially with business owners who are shutting down and things like that, all those things, they really break my heart, because it just means they're not getting the right support and the right tools, and they're not leveraging on the right market. That's a big thing. Your idea can be very good, your strategy can be very good, you might just be in the wrong market. And the free trade agreement is there to rectify that. And I can say that as a person who has seen businesses that have thrived in other markets over the one where the founder is from. I personally, in Ariel, have seen Ariel perform better in West African markets than in East Africa. But that's only because of the free trade agreement. Yeah.
Wow. And for those who are now tuning in, I'm just going to give a sentence of what the African Continental Free Trade Area agreement is. So the agreement is set to accelerate intra-African trade and boost Africans' trading position in the global markets by strengthening Africans' common voice and policy space in the global trade negotiations. So, creating a single market for goods and services facilitated by movement of persons across the continent, contribute to the movement of capital and natural persons, and facilitate investments. So it's laying a foundation for the establishment of continental custom unions at a larger scale. So if you know your business or an entrepreneur in your country and you're looking to dream big, be able to move your goods, your services, your products across the whole of the continent, be sure to look up this agreement and see how it can benefit you. But also, check out our platforms. We are currently doing an assessment on how young people can implement the Continental Free Trade Agreement area within their countries. And your voice could also be included in this particular process. So let us hear on how best you think young people should benefit from such instruments by sharing your thoughts on our social media. And I think Franklin will allude to that. Edith, I just want to say thank you so much. This has been a very insightful conversation for me. I'm now just dabbing into the space of entrepreneurship and innovation, and I'm loving it. Every day I'm learning something new. And last year we conducted a Youth Enterprise Award where we mapped out business ideas that were resilient and innovative, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. How did they bounce back? And we're just now tracking the progress, and it's the impact, as you said, it's all about the impact. Impact will then ripple more effects and more impact. So it's amazing. And to hear this from you as well, to hear the impact that you've had across the continent and how you're striving for more is very inspiring. I really appreciate every 2 cents I have collected from you.
Yeah.
And that is all I have to say. We're coming to a close of the session, and I think I'll hand it to Franklin to bring us home.
No, I just want to echo your sentiments. And Edith, I think at YouLead, we are honored to have you as one of the entrepreneurs that we hope the AfCFTA, and not just through the study that you have also been a part of in terms of being one of the discussants. We hope that such youth-led businesses like yours will get not just the visibility, but through the AfCFTA, with your founders and your co-founders in South Africa, Eritrea, across West Africa, through even the Startup World Cup. First time I'm hearing that.
I'm looking forward to that one. Please let us know when.
Yeah. 19th of June, you say? 19th
We'll
of
mark
June.
that on our calendars. Everyone who's watching, mark it on your calendars. It's a must watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, if there is anything that you'd want us to do in terms of publicity, we would do. If you we would be happy to share, and as many people know about such opportunities, the better. Because together, the African young people, the more we have solidarity, we have opportunities for us, the better. So over to you,
We
Edith, for
are
closing
the Africa
remarks.
we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Africa we want. I like that. I think I'll actually close with that. The Africa we want is within reach. We just have to be the people that it deserves. That's
Absolutely.
it. That's it.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're
So,
Yeah.
welcome.
Franklin, how do we close the session? Music? Are we gonna
Yeah,
boogie
yeah.
out
We're
of
just
here?
gonna have some African songs here. I don't know, and then we'll call it a day. So, everyone, thank you for joining us. See you next time. Edith, have a wonderful evening. Beatrice,
Thank
my
you.
co-host, too. Wonderful. Bye bye.
Bye.